Okay, so this says finding zeros with the graphing calculator. Why am I saying finding zeros? What does that mean? The x-intercept, okay? So when we solve a quadratic, essentially what we are doing is we're finding the x-intercept. My calculator will solve those kind of questions for me. I just have to tell it to do that. So what I want you to do is I want you to look at number 1 on your paper that you have in front of you right now. And kind of keep these side by side, your note sheet and this example right here, or example sheet right here. Okay, so we're going to find zeros with the graphing calculator. First thing I need to do is I need to make sure that my equations are in the correct format, meaning ax squared plus bx plus c. Everything is on the left-hand side and it's equal to 0. So does this work? Yeah. Yes, it does. So what I'm going to do is kind of ignore this equals 0 for a second and then put y equals at the front. So kind of ignore this equals 0 and put a y equals at the front. She's not in this class right now. Alright, now I'm going to take my calculator and I'm going to go into y equals and type this equation in. Don't do anything else, just go type in y equals 2x squared minus 5x minus 12. 2x squared minus 5x minus 12. Now I'm going to hit graph. So everyone do that. Hit graph. Let it graph your quadratic. I don't think my window looks kind of funny. It looks scooted over. So I'm going to hit zoom 6. If yours looks fine, then leave it that way. There you go. That looks better. Okay, so once I have it graphed, I need to tell my calculator what I'm trying to do. So remember when we were doing like minimum, maximum in my calculator, I had to just tell my calculator what to do. Whenever I solve equations and I want to know where they're intersecting, I do second trace 5. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to follow the steps at the bottom of this page. Second trace, Option 2 says 0. What does that mean? The x-intercept. Good. So second trace 2. Don't do anything else. Second trace 2. What's the problem? Okay, second off, or second quit, second off. Turn it off. Turn it back on again. And try to graph it again. Okay, so now on my screen it says left bound. Well, I need to determine what left bound is. So I'm going to look at this little graphic here. Which one does it closely resemble? The one on the left or the one on the right? The one on the left. So this is what I need to focus on right now. We always start on the left-hand side of my parabola. Always. So starting at the left, my left bound, I should be putting my little dot somewhere above the x-axis. Okay? So when it says left bound, I need to scroll my little dot here somewhere above the x-axis and hit enter. Now it says right bound. So I need to scroll using my right arrow key somewhere below the x-axis. I know I'm below the x-axis because my y is negative. I know I'm below the x-axis and I can see it, but sometimes it's really close. So I'm going to hit enter. So I started over here because this is what my parabola looks like. So I started on this side. Always start on the left side. if this is what my parabola looks like, I start here and I just follow my parabola. Left bound is above the x-axis, right bound is below the x-axis. Now it's saying guess. I'm going to hit enter one more time. So, one of my solutions is x equals negative 1.5. That's one of my solutions. X equals negative 1.5. I have another solution though. Over here. I have another solution over here. So I'm going to continue following my parabola. I'm going to do second, trace 2 again. It's asking me left bound. So looking at this, I've already done this star and this star. I keep following my parabola, so where should I be going left bound now?
Down.
Okay, well, somewhere below the x-axis. My next left bound should be, if I'm following my parabola, I'm going to keep following it until I see it. There we go, I see it there at the bottom. So left bound is just somewhere below. I'm going to hit enter. Right bound is somewhere above. Hit enter. It's saying guess. Omar, you're going home. It's saying guess. So I hit enter one more time. What is my other x-intercept?
4.
X equals 4. And those are my 2 solutions. That's it. Solving a quadratic in your calculator. You just have to tell your calculator what you want it to do, what you want it to look for. Okay? Let's do another one. Let's look at number 2. So, I have 6x squared plus 7x minus 5 equals 0. First thing I got to make sure is that everything is on the right side, or the left side of the equation. Everything is on the left side and it's equal to 0. So am I good to go on that?
Yes.
Yes. So that equals 0, you can kind of ignore that and make it y equals. So I'm going to go on my calculator, y equals, and I'm going to type in 6x squared. Whoops, I'm not in y equals. 6x squared, try again, plus 7x minus 5. What do I do next? I'm going to hit graph and let it graph here. Okay, so now I have to determine the pattern that I'm going to follow. My parabola looks like this, so I always start on the left-hand side of my graph. Always. Second, trace 2. It's saying left bound, so I need to go over here. My left bound, if my parabola looks like this, should be above the x-axis. So I'm going to hit enter. Now using my right arrow key, scroll below the x-axis. How do I know when I'm below? The y is negative. I know you can tell here, but I'm telling you, there's a few of them that it's really hard. Like, you got to pay attention to that to make sure you're actually going below the x-axis. So I'm going to hit enter again. It says guess. I'm going to hit enter one more time. So x equals about negative 1.67. We'll just round it. You're not going to get nice, neat numbers every time, okay? If you don't get a nice, neat number, just round it. So I still have one more solution to find. And I'm going to do it by, there we go. Second, trace 2. Now where should my left bound be? Below the x-axis over here. Below the x-axis. If you follow your parabola, you'll have no problem. So now I have right bound is above the x-axis. Enter one more time. My other solution is x equals 0.5. 5. See how easy that is? Now, people all day have been saying, why wouldn't you just teach me this in the first place? Why did we have to learn how to factor? Because it is tested that way, okay? There's times where it wants to know the solutions, but it'll give it to you in factored form. So what we did yesterday and the day before. Like, remember 1 and 2 from yesterday, how they were already factored and all you had to do was set it equal to 0 and solve? So you could have questions like that. But if it doesn't specify the way to solve, what way is the easiest? Calculator. The reason why I'm saying that is, like, you could have taken this equation right here, and you could have tried to do the slide, divide, bottoms up way of factoring, but you would have found that it actually doesn't factor, and at that point, you've already wasted some time. We don't have a whole lot of time to waste on our EOC, so use it. Try number 3. If we can get number 3, I'm going to come around and check it. If I check yours and you're good to go, then you can continue practicing on this page. Okay? Okay, so we got x equals -3 and x equals -2. And remember, if it does not cross the x-axis, there's no solution. If it doesn't cross the x-axis, there's no solution.